The 2025 Africa Cup of Nations has come to an end, with Senegal winning the trophy for the second time in their history, and for the second time in the last 3 years. It was decided by a 94th minute strike from Pape Gueye, and Sadio Mane was named player of the tournament, while Brahim Díaz went home with the golden boot. But while all that was a memorable moment for the players and fans, something bigger stole the headlines in the final and throughout the tournament, and that has led to some big questions being asked, one of which we'll be attempting to answer in this video. Was there an attempt to rig the 2025 AFCON? We're not going to be throwing any accusations in this video. What we'll be doing is presenting the facts. So, first of all, Morocco wasn't even supposed to host the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in the first place. It was supposed to be Guinea. But for you to properly understand this story, we have to go all the way back to the 2019 edition. So, Cameroon was supposed to host the 2019 AFCON, but the rights were stripped of them because they weren't prepared, and it was handed to Egypt. Because of that, Cameroon was awarded the right to host the 2021 edition when it was expected that they would be better prepared. This meant that Côte d'Ivoire, who were supposed to host the 2021 edition, were pushed to 2023. So, Guinea, who were supposed to host the 2023 edition, were automatically given the rights to host the 2025 tournament. But in September 2022, Guinea was suddenly stripped of the rights to host, and it was handed to Morocco the following year. Interestingly, this time around, Guinea weren't even pushed to the next edition, they were just displaced altogether. This raised some eyebrows, but even more eyebrows were raised when full context was provided. If you add the women's AFCON, it means that Morocco has now been given the rights to host 4 out of 5 consecutive major African football tournaments. They hosted the 2022 and 2024 women's AFCON and are scheduled to host the 2026 edition as well. This has got people asking why Morocco has been getting all the hosting rights. Surely there are other countries on the continent who are willing and ready to play hosts, and the thing is, Morocco has been enjoying some real home advantage from these hosting duties. You see, the Moroccan team had never got to the final of the women's AFCON until they first hosted it in 2022. They have now reached back-to-back finals, both on home soil. And it's not just the tournaments, you know, it's also the awards. 2019 was the last time the CAF Awards were held outside Morocco, and some decisions at the awards have been pretty questionable. For example, the Women's Coach of the Year award in 2025 went to Morocco's coach when it was Nigeria who actually won a record-extending 10th Women's AFCON that year. This has pushed leading voices in the women's game like Assisat Oshoala to voice out about what feels like a Moroccan monopoly of the African game. But enough of everything that happened outside to answer the question if the 2025 AFCON was rigged. We have to focus on the 2025 tournament itself. But just before we do, if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go do that right away, so you never miss out on our amazing content. Now, back to the 2025 AFCON. As football fans, we're used to host nations getting some home advantage, so that will never be a shock. The fans alone often feel like an extra man backing the host, but sometimes at the 2025 Cup of Nations, it felt like Morocco had more than the fans behind them. Sometimes it felt like the referees might have been on Morocco's side, and people really began to take note of this in the knockout stages. In the round of 16, Tanzania had a penalty shout that was ignored by the ref. In the quarter-final game against Cameroon, things went up a notch. The referee ignored 2 pretty big penalty calls for the Cameroonians and was not even called to the pitchside monitor by VAR. This is not including the many 50-50 calls that always seem to go the way of Morocco. In the semi-final, Nigeria had similar complaints. All the 50-50 calls went the way of Morocco, breaking their momentum each time and stopping them from even stringing passes together. There were even instances where the referee awarded throw-ins to Morocco when the ball hadn't even gone out of play. And this one was interesting because Nigerian fans had raised the alarm even before the game. First of all, there was massive outcry when it was announced that a Ghanaian ref was going to officiate the game. The West African Giants felt that it just wasn't appropriate considering the rivalry between both nations. The Nigerian coach also complained about the long travels between cities he and his team were subjected to throughout the tournament, while Morocco enjoyed the privilege of playing all their games in Rabat. But it wasn't just about games that featured Morocco. For example, Algerians will also tell you that they were robbed in the quarter-final game against Nigeria, and they strongly believe that they didn't get certain calls because of their rivalry with Morocco. All of these happenings in the knockout games made everyone a little more attentive ahead of the final, and Senegal made sure to voice out about things they felt were unjust leading up to the big day. And not only did they voice out, they made official reports to CAF about certain issues. First of all, the space they were allotted to train was apparently just opposite where the Moroccans were, which meant that Senegal's sessions could easily have been monitored and recorded. They also complained that they weren't allotted enough tickets for the final. According to reports, the Senegalese were allocated less than 3,000 tickets in a 70,000 capacity stadium. And if you watched the game, you would see that truly, the West African nation was hardly represented in the stadium. But that wasn't all. Senegal also raised concerns about security to Africa's football governing body. They said that the players and the staff were exposed to hostile Moroccan fans in the country's capital, which created an inconducive environment that was not the best for team focus. Then came the game, and once again, there were questionable refereeing decisions, but we'll leave the little ones and focus on the massive ones, the talking points of the final. In the 92nd minute of the game, Senegal scored what they thought was the winner, but the goal was disallowed by the referee for a slight push. And what made this one hurt was that the referee was too eager to blow his whistle that VAR could therefore not intervene as the whistle went before the ball went in. In the modern game, referees have been instructed to let the attacking action play out before sounding the whistle, so that was very strange to see. The Senegalese felt hard done by, but they picked themselves up and moved on with the game. But just about 6 minutes later, VAR then intervened in a slight pull in the Senegal box, calling the referee to the monitor to have a look. The referee then went on to award a penalty to the Moroccans in the 98th minute, and the Senegal team and fans lost it. Just a few minutes ago, the referee was quick to disallow their goal, but now he is patient enough to consult with VAR in order to award a penalty against them. It felt like injustice, so the Senegal coach ordered his players to walk off the pitch in protest. After minutes of mediation and intercession, they came back out, and the game went on. As you know, Brahim Díaz went on to miss the penalty, and Senegal scored the winner in extra time and took the trophy. But what happened in additional time of the second half grabbed the headlines. For things to get so bad that Senegal were ready to damn the consequences and walk out on a major final, you should know that there was a real feeling of indignation and frustration. They were surely going to be slapped with a lengthy ban and very severe punishments had they not come back out. But at that very moment, they just didn't care because they felt they had been treated unfairly. Regardless of the results, that really tainted the tournament. It drew a lot of attention to what happened in that game and what had happened in the entire tournament. And what we find a little curious is that all the African countries appear to be siding with Morocco's opponents, from the game against Cameroon to the game against Nigeria to the final against Senegal. It felt like everyone shared the same feeling of indignation and were lending their voices to it. So, truly, was the tournament rigged to try and get Morocco a first AFCON title in 50 years? Or were most of these things just normal occurrences that happen in football games? Is African football being held to ransom by the North African country like some suggest? Or is that just a massive overreaction and conspiracy theory? We struggle to find conclusive answers to these questions, so we want to hear from you. What are your opinions on these? Get in the comments and talk to us. This is a safe space as always. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye.